me again, but this does happen to fall into my portfolio. This is the very last day that we could adopt this plan without falling foul of the regulations, which is why I had it put on this agenda and not next week's. Now, the local member did say to me, oh, this is rather a good plan, isn't it? And normally I would expect the local member to say that and say, oh, yes, it is. But actually, this is a really good one. And I would commend you all to read it. They also had a very good examiner, which I think has helped them enormously. And it really gives me great pleasure to recommend the adoption of this neighbourhood plan. I'm happy to take questions, but I know that the local member would like to speak on this as well.
That's absolutely correct. Yes, Councillor Taylor has asked if he could speak. So, Councillor Taylor, would you like to speak next, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As a ward member from Bigbury, I would like to congratulate the Bigbury Neighbourhood Plan team for their hard work over the last 4 probably plus years to produce a superb plan that is well researched and well presented. And I would like to second the proposal that we adopt this, the council adopt this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Molyneux. Do we have anyone else who wishes to speak?
We do. We've got Councillor Baldry and Councillor Hotwood.
We'll ask Councillor Baldry first then, please.
Chairman, not wishing to be difficult, but I'm trying to read the documents on the South Hams website, and the neighbourhood plan attached to this item is actually Brixton's neighbourhood plan and not Bigbury's.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm very pleased to support. I'm very pleased to support the Bigbury neighbourhood plan. I have looked at it separately, and it is excellent.
Thank you, Councillor Hotwood.
Thank you, Chairman. I think it's a shame that this neighbourhood plan is being adopted under these circumstances when usually members of the neighbourhood plan group would be present at the meeting. I read every neighbourhood plan through, and there are for an area that has only I think it's 389 houses in it. I think this is really commendable. The plan is excellent for such a small ward within the South Hams, and these plans are not easy to put together. So I think they really do have gone above and beyond, and they would certainly be one to hold up if there were areas that had small villages and wanted to take a leaf from Bigbury's book. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hotwood.
Councillor Brazil would like to speak, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. Yes, I'd first of all like to thank both Bernard and her predecessor Beth, who I know were very concerned about some speculative applications in and around these villages, which hopefully this will prevent now, and congratulations for getting it through, and you know, it's very timely. Just one thing, a very slight thing, I've sort of speed read through it, but I noticed that in some cases they talk about a development boundary, and in other cases they talk about a settlement boundary. I hope that doesn't lead to some difficulties at a later date where some developer plays funny. So if I just say, so on page page 10, top of page 10, it talks about a settlement boundary, I think, or no, development boundary. And then further on in the document, it talks about settlement boundaries. I think when the maps are they talk about settlement boundaries. So I just think that that's important, that we need to make sure that we're aware of that and that we feel that it's robust enough in defending any clever developer. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any further speakers?
We have no more speakers.
Yes, can I just come in on that and answer Councillor Brazil's point? Councillor Brazil, I'll make sure Duncan Smith knows about that, because they can put forward a non-material amendment, so to speak, to that, and we can get it sorted out before it's actually published.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Taylor, did you want to add anything further?
No, I just reiterate what everybody said about the way that's been put together and dealt with, and I'll pick up Councillor Brazil's point on settlement boundary and development areas. So perhaps that can be looked at, and then. But I'm happy to go along with it. I always have done actually, and I've always praised the way that's been put together and dealt with.
Thank you. Thank you. So therefore, members, we will move to the vote on as the recommendation appears on the screen. Over to you, Darryl.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Abbott?
4.
Thank you. Councillor Austin?
I'm in favour.
Thank you. Councillor Baldry?
4.
Thank you. Councillor Bastow?
4.
Thank you. Councillor Birch?
4.
Thank you. Councillor Brazil?
4.
Thank you. Councillor Brown?
4.
Thank you. Councillor Chown?
4.
Councillor Foss? Councillor Foss?
4.
Thank you. Councillor Hawkins?
4.
Councillor Hodgson?
4.
Councillor Holloway?
4.
Councillor Hopwood?
4.
Councillor Jackson?
4.
Councillor Long?
4.
Councillor May?
4.
Councillor McKay?
4.
Councillor O'Callaghan?
4.
Councillor Pannell?
4.
Councillor Pearce?
4.
Councillor Pringle?
4.
Councillor Reeve?
4.
Councillor Rose?
4.
Councillor Rowe?
4.
Councillor Smurden?
4.
Councillor Spencer?
4.
Councillor Sweet?
4.
Councillor Taylor?
4.
And Councillor Thomas?
4.
That is therefore also unanimous. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Darryl. Thank you. So therefore, members, thank you. That brings us to the end of today's agenda. And I would like to thank you all for taking part in this meeting, which has not been easy. It's the first virtual full council meeting which we've had. We'll be having another one next week, and we can now go and study the agenda that's coming before us for the next meeting. And I would also like to remind you that I think there was a note from Darryl that if you could send him any ideas or views or whatever you have on how we run the meetings, not necessarily the content, but how we run it, and if there are any improvements that could be made, I think that would be great. And also, I'd like to thank you, the members, for all that you're doing within your own areas, within our cluster groups, and we've been doing a lot of work out in the field, and in fact I think it's been keeping us pretty busy, and also to the staff, and I think particularly to Lisa and her team with all that's been going on with the business rates, the grants, etc. And we have done an enormous number of business rate grants